Hello everyone and welcome back to Pharmuni, where we are going to cover a new topic today around job interview preparation. So for all of you job seekers out there, stay tuned and let's dive in. So this is kind of a high level overview of what you should consider before, during and after an interview. But if you really want to get into that like detailed nitty gritty elements of a job interview prep, head over to pharmuni.com and sign up for our free job interview preparation course. So let's get into it. Now, there are a variety of different types of interviews and different people that are going to interview you during the process. Before we jump into the actual middle part of the interview, which is the doing, I think we often forget that we need to do some preparation beforehand. And that involves knowing how and who is going to interview us. So interviews can happen in the traditional sense, where it could be a one-on-one, face-to-face interview. It can be a panel interview, which is a group of people and you're sitting on the other side of the table and people are interviewing you. Or it can also be a group interview where you will have a multitude of different candidates who are applying for the same role and people watching you and asking you questions. Now, because of the ever-changing world that we live in and the different working modes that we have in companies, your interviews will have a likely chance of being online versus that traditional face-to-face where you get the address, you go to someone's office and then you sit down for the interview. Later in the episode, we will actually have a little bit of a chat about things you need to consider if you are doing an interview that is online. Now, in regards to interviewers themselves, you're most likely going to be interviewed by HR professionals, the hiring managers, so the people that you will be working directly with as their direct reports, possibly technical experts, depending on the role that you're doing, and even company executives might be in the interview process. That again is going to be dependent on the company you work for, the role you have, and also the size of the company that you're going to potentially be working for. But it is important to understand who is interviewing you so that you can adapt your presentation and how you actually talk in the interviews to suit the people that you're talking to. Now, before the interview, preparation is key. I cannot stress this enough. In preparing for a job interview, it's not really just enough to know who's interviewing you and where you're going to be interviewed and making sure you're on time. You need to research the company thoroughly. You need to learn about their values, their company culture, their products, their services, projects they're working on that might relate to your role, and even some recent achievements. That could also involve simply going to LinkedIn and looking at the company, finding out the organizational structure, looking at how they write, what language and text do they use, and how they present themselves. So do they wear t-shirts and jeans to work, or are they corporate suits type of company or firma? Because you want to be able to represent yourself in the same image of the company, but be careful, you still need to be uniquely you, because they might be looking for someone who is different to what they have already. Next, a recommendation is to dissect the job description. Go through all of the requirements of the role, the skills, and start thinking about how your previous experiences and your skills align with the job requirements so that you can talk about them during the interview itself. And practice. So you can go online and put type in some common interview questions and sit down with some friends or in the mirror and run through the questions. You know, the internet is full of all of these different examples out there, and go through as many as you can. But don't try to over-engineer the answers that you will provide to this. Keep the main points in your mind of what you want to cover during the actual answering process of the question. And don't try to memorize a script. I highly recommend that, because you want to sound natural and as though the information is just effortlessly coming from you, and then it's very easy for you. So practice, practice, practice. Get a friend, run through it together. It could actually be heaps of fun, and it would definitely take out kind of that nervousness that you're going to potentially have when you go into the job interview. There's nothing worse than rocking up to an interview and having no idea about really what you're going to say or what questions that could be expected to come your way. And when we're talking about preparing, let's go back to that discussion point on having an online interview. You know, there's nothing worse than getting to your online interview and realizing that the lighting isn't right, your microphone doesn't work, your internet connection is not kicking in. So my recommendation is to test all of these things before you actually have the meeting, and then make sure you dress as though you are for a job interview. It might be online, but it doesn't mean it's tracky dacks and t-shirts day. You have to dress professionally and as though you are representing the person that they want in their company. So then you get to interview day. This is the exciting part. Now let's talk about how you can really make a lasting impression in your interview. And the first is first impressions. First impressions count. You have to dress professionally. Coming back to the research you've done about the company, how do they dress in their pictures? What's in their imagery? Represent that in yourself, you know, because then you'll really be showing that you're considering the company's culture. You know, if you're going to work for an IT company as an IT developer, I probably wouldn't rock up in a suit. Or if I'm going to work in a corporate department for a law firm or in the financial area, you know, I'm definitely wearing even, you know, a suit into that meeting. Again, do the pre-work, research the company and see how it's best appropriate to dress for that. Your body language also speaks volumes. Remember, first impressions, give a nice solid handshake, make eye contact, be strong and confident and present yourself as that wonderful, amazing person that you are. And that energy is going to rub off onto people. In the interview, don't slouch, don't be like a meek mouse. You really have to show that you're the person for this job. And when you're answering questions, actively listen first. Find out what they're really trying to ask you and use the STAR method to structure your responses to their questions, which is situation, task, action, and result. And this will enable you to answer it concisely and confidently. In our course around job interview preparations, we go into much more detail about the STAR method. And remember to relax, breathe, everything goes okay, and you're doing great. So what do you do after the interview? You know, you've made it through the process, you've left. What's a good practice for you to do after the interview? My recommendation is to send a thank you email within the first 24 hours, acknowledging your appreciation for their time in taking to meet you and have the interview, and also ask when they're likely to make a decision, because this shows a bit of initiative for you and that you're really genuinely interested in the role. It's important to take some time for self-reflection. Identify areas where you did really well and identify areas where you could improve, and then practice those improvements, but don't be too harsh on yourself. This is all of a growth phase and it's all about learning and becoming better in what we do. And be patient and mindful of the follow-up time frame. If you don't hear back within the expected time that they mentioned, then you can always politely email them and ask for an update on how that is going. Again, that will show initiative from you, which is very, very important in your employees. But I have some bonus tips for you. So before we wrap up, here's some extra hints and tips on how you can stand out in your job interview. Handling nerves is a big one. When we are feeling nervous about a job interview, we can do all this preparation and it can go out the window as soon as we step in the building. Practice some relaxation techniques, some breathing, remind yourself of your strengths, remind yourself that you have prepared and that you know what you're talking about. They would not have invited you to an interview if something about you did not stand out. So do as many mock run-throughs as you can with family and friends. And also remember to take people's feedback seriously, because they might have more experience than you and could have some really fabulous and valuable insights. If you are doing a virtual interview, make sure you have a stable internet connection. Choose a quiet place that is a well-lit space. You've got great lighting, and maintain a professional appearance. Don't sit in a cafe with thousands of people running behind you while you're trying to have a job interview and you're getting distracted. And lastly, but not least, remember at the end of the day, if you gave your best and they are not choosing you for the role, it's not the end of the world. Pick yourself up and try again. This is about resilience and grit. You know, I personally have been turned down many times for roles that I thought I was perfect for, and I did a fabulous interview, but didn't get across the line. The key here is to keep going, because as you learn and as you grow as an individual, you will find that role that is meant for you. It's just a matter of time. So there you have it. That's our quick start guide on how to rock your job interviews. I really hope that this has been super helpful for you. So don't forget to prepare, make sure that you're ready for the job interview, prepare yourself well, ask for feedback, and we hope that you're successful in your next journey. Please leave a comment on what you thought. If there are any topics that you would like us to cover, or if there's anything else that you're interested in, please write it in the comments below, because we'd be happy to do a new episode about that. Smash that like button, subscribe. We all have to subscribe. You have to subscribe to our channel so that we can make sure we keep you notified on all the new things that are happening. Good luck with your job search, and I hope to see you next time.